The Chicago Bears are 1-0 after a second-half comeback victory over the San Francisco 49ers. Welcome into Bears Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Harrison Graham. The Bears win it 19-10 after trailing 7-0 at halftime and 10-0 after the first drive of the second half. They outscore the Niners 19-zip the rest of the way. It was ugly early on for Justin Fields in the offense, but he made some big plays in the second half. The defense stepped up, and all in all, a hell, and I mean a hell of a win for the Chicago Bears over the San Francisco 49ers. Dante Pettis on a broken play had a big touchdown. Equanimeous St. Brown got a touchdown as well. And then Eddie Jackson had a critical pick. We're going to talk about it all on today's postgame show. But first, type dub in the comments. The Bears start 1-0. This is such a monumental win for Chicago, because when you open with San Francisco and Green Bay, to find a way to win this game, I cannot put into words how big it is for the Bears to win this game, start 1-0 before heading to Green Bay. Let's go. Type dub in the comments right now after this Week 1 win. I changed my shirt at halftime. I threw on the rally cap. This might be the wardrobe moving forward. Type dub in the comments. Let's get it. Let's go. Bears start 1-0. All right, let's react to this one in further detail. Justin Fields started 3 of 9 in the first half, 19 yards and a pick. Second half, as he finishes overall, 8 of 17, 128 with 2 touchdowns and a pick. Second half, 121, excuse me. Second half, that means he would have gone 5 for 8 for 102 yards and 2 touchdowns. In these stormy conditions, that's a hell of a halftime adjustment by the Bears and by Fields to make some big plays. Evaded a sack, scrambled to his left, threw across field to a wide-open Pettis. That was a 51-yard touchdown. And then I thought the throw of the day was on a hard play action. St. Brown was like his second or third read, slips straight up the gut, lobs it over the defenders for a touchdown. Justin Fields was resilient in this game. And that's really the word for this entire Bears football team in this matchup. They were resilient. They could have folded down 10-0 early in the half, but they played unbelievable. And you know what else really stood out to me? They were disciplined. 3 penalties, 24 yards. The Niners had 11 penalties for 95 yards, I believe. And the Bears, 0 second-half penalties. Guys, Justin Fields battled. He deserves a lot of credit. This team, if nothing else, is going to play their ass off this year. I don't know what it's going to look like at the end of the season, but I told you all week I like the Bears getting 7.5 at home. I thought that was disrespectful, and they proved it today, even though things were looking bleak in the first half. Bears 19, 49ers 10. Trey Lance may have outplayed Fields in the first half. Justin Fields outplayed him in the second half. Got those second-half adjustments with Luke Getsy and got it done. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button here on Chicago Bears Now, the latest Chicago Bears news, rumors, and much more. Hit that sub button today. We're closing in on 52,000 subscribers. Still got 2,000 people watching live here on YouTube. Go ahead and subscribe. Don't miss anything. I'm not going anywhere. We'll be live for another watch party next week against the Packers. FGB, you guys know what to do. Hit that sub button. Let's keep growing this channel. David Montgomery had a tough time getting going today. Khalil Herbert found some holes, though, and that's another thing. The second half, offensive line played better. Herbert, 9 carries, 45 yards, and a touchdown. Had a long of 12. Not a lot of big plays in the running game, but they found just enough chunk plays in the second half to win this football game and to stay balanced enough. You knew Justin Fields was going to have to make plays in the second half with his arms and his feet. He did. But he had to find a way to get a couple of nice runs. Herbert provided a few. David Montgomery, the holes just weren't there for him. 17 carries, 26 yards. He battled. He played hard. He fought for extra yards. But the Niners, for a lot of this game, won the line of scrimmage, whereas the Bears, especially in that first half, struggled early on with their offensive line and their defensive line. I thought that flipped a bit in the second half. I thought the trenches game really shifted towards Chicago about midway through that third quarter. But Herbert was more effective today, and he deserves credit. Doesn't mean Monty did anything wrong, but Khalil Herbert was the more effective running back for Chicago. Now, there was a debate during the watch party because early on it looked sloppy, and I kept telling you guys, look, I'm not going to judge a quarterback based on how things look in a torrential downpour. And if you watch the game, these conditions were brutal for these quarterbacks. But Justin Fields was getting a lot of criticism from some of you guys, and I said, Relax. It's early. Let's see how it goes. Is Justin Fields the guy? In the second half, he showed me a lot of character, a lot of poise, made plays when it mattered, won this football game. Type Y for yes, type in for no. Is Justin Fields the guy at quarterback for the Chicago Bears? I think he is. I think he's on his way. Bears start 1-0. Get your votes in. You look at the team stats here. The Niners more consistently move the ball, especially running-wise. That's still an area the Bears got to improve. Rush defense was a bit of a problem last year. That continued today. It's hard against San Francisco. They throw different guys at you, different schemes. They ran for 176. Trey Lance in the first half played pretty well as well. Third downs, 8 for 17, but the penalties really buried San Francisco. They were bad. There's no doubt about it. 12 for 99. Trey Lance, 11 for 21, 149, ran for 47 as well, had a couple of key first down runs. He was far more effective in the first half than in the second half. Hit that one deep slot fade ball to Juwan Jennings on that first drive of the second half, which led to a field goal. But after that, he really didn't do much with his arm. And how critical was it? The 49ers got inside the 5 on the opening drive of the second half to go up 14-0. Bears hold them to a field goal. They settle for 3 to go up 10-0. After that, Bears took control and dominated. If you go down 14-0, that's a totally different deal. Trey Lance was largely ineffective in the second half. You know who was effective? Eddie Jackson. He might be back, folks. Jumped a route, got a critical interception, ran it back about 30 yards, and then the Bears were able to punch it in for a touchdown to go up 19-10. Eddie Jackson in this system is going to play a lot better. I am fired up about him. I'm fired up about this defense. I know it's a downpour. It's hard to know how much you can take away from this game because the conditions were so tough, but I thought the second half adjustments changed this game. The Bears were playing on their heels in the first half. And then after that opening drive of the second half, they really controlled the game. I'm proud of what Matt Eberflus and this staff were able to do. I'm proud of Justin Fields for staying resilient. And shout out Eddie Jackson. He's been searching for a pick for a while. Found one today. Let's go, Bojack. Type Bojack in the comments. All right. Hey, I told you guys. I changed shirts at halftime. FGB. And guess what happens 1 week from today? Bears, Packers, Sunday Night Football. We're going to have a live watch party. Get your FGB shirts. Chatsports.com/FGB. It's going to be a hell of a matchup. Sunday Night Football in Lambeau. If you win that game and start 2-0, that would be unbelievable. But either way, you want to rep the FGB shirts in this matchup. Trust me, it works for me. Hopefully it works for you. Chatsports.com/FGB. Get your FGB shirts today. If you don't know what it stands for, fuck Green Bay. Chatsports.com/FGB. Link in the comments, link in the description. Get your shirts today. You know who might be the MVP of this game? Dominique Robinson, who was questionable all week with the knee injury. Are you kidding me? The rookie out of Miami of Ohio, 7 tackles, a tackle for loss, 1.5 sacks, 2 hits on Trey Lance. Unbelievable. I didn't even know if he'd be active today. He is, and he plays that big of a role. That is unreal. Dominique Robinson. You might have something here. 5th-round pick. Shout out Ryan Poles for finding him. That's a hell of a job by the rookie who was limited in practice all week. Are you kidding me? 1.5 sacks in his first start? That is tremendous work by the rookie out of Miami of Ohio. Roquan Smith, I thought, was out of position a couple of times early, but in the second half came on, had 9 tackles, 1/2 sack, shared one with Dominique Robinson, had a quarterback hit, almost had a pick, jumped a route, got his hands on it, but couldn't quite get that second hand over, tipped up, but fell incomplete. He looked more comfortable after halftime in this system. Remember, he did not play at all in the preseason for the Bears. And shifting from a 3-4 to a 4-3, that's a different deal. I know he's a special talent, but it was going to take him a few snaps to get going, and I think that was definitely the case in this matchup. But once he got settled in, he made a lot of tackles, almost had a pick. Thought Roquan played really well in the second half. The Bears win 19-10. A couple of final thoughts here. Number one, the weather was just brutal. I mean, they're running around and there's puddles on the field. They were using squeegees to mop water off the surface. And of course, the Bears lay down new Bermuda grass this week, and a freaking hurricane goes through Chicago. It's an absolute downpour. But in those conditions, to only have 1 turnover, Fields threw a bad pick, I will say, but he bounced back after that. But to play clean, otherwise 3 penalties, 1 turnover in that weather, That's a testament to coaching, in my opinion. This team stayed calm. This team stayed poised. Matt Eberflus, Luke Getsy, Alan Williams clearly made some adjustments after halftime. More play action passes to find some open receivers. Fields took off on a couple of key runs. I'm impressed. It's one game in weird conditions, but you beat the Niners. That's a team that was a game away from the Super Bowl last year. I'm not saying the Bears all of a sudden are Super Bowl contenders, but winning this game, that means something. That absolutely means something. There is no doubt about that. Now, grade the Bears overall against the San Francisco 49ers in this one. Type A, B, C, D, or F. You win the game as a 7.5-point underdog. Overall, it wasn't perfect. I'll go A-, but hey, I mean, if you're going anything less, I think you're just a hater. Get your grades in the comments. Bears start 1-0 on the season.